Hello, friends. Today, let's look at a 180-degree reversal that's even more exciting than a TV drama. This is practically a tale of two cities for AI regulation. On one side, we have the Biden administration in 2023 saying, safety first, we need to talk. On the other, the Trump administration in 2025 declares, don't stand in our way, we must win. So what exactly happened in between? Was AI put on a leash, or did it completely spiral out of control? Let's first take a time machine back to 2023. At that time, ChatGPT had just exploded globally, and everyone was anxious. The Biden administration quickly called in big names like Sam Altman from OpenAI, Google CEO, and Dario Amodei from Anthropic to the White House for a grand safety summit. The outcome was a series of voluntary commitments. The tech leaders shook hands and promised to conduct safety, security, and trust testing on AI. That sounds great, right? But the problem was, all of this was voluntary. Biden himself admitted that this was just the first step and that new laws would be needed in the future. In plain language, it had no legal binding force. It was just talk on paper, a safety theater put on for the public. Did you think these tech giants were genuinely doing good? If so, you were too young, too simple. The sharpest criticism at the time came from Meta's AI guru, Yan LeCun, who said, "This is regulatory capture." What does that mean? Let me give you an analogy. Imagine I am OpenAI, a huge castle. My real threat isn't another castle, like Google, but thousands of farmers building AI for free in the open source community. A leaked internal Google memo even admitted, we cannot win this arms race. The open source community is quietly eating our lunch. So, what should I do? I quickly ran to the king, Biden, and cried, Your Majesty, AI is too dangerous. It's Skynet. For safety, you must legislate and regulate it. The king thought it made sense and dug a deep, wide regulatory moat around all AI. For example, mandating expensive third-party audits and cumbersome compliance documents. What was the result? I, with my deep pockets, could afford a legal team and easily cross the moat. But those open source farmers had no resources and were drowned in the moat. Do you see now? This is using safety regulation to stifle open source. Moreover, by diverting everyone's attention to future risks like Skynet, they cleverly avoided the immediate, truly thorny issues such as algorithmic discrimination and mass unemployment. All right, fast forward to 2025. The scene completely changes. The Trump administration held a Winning the AI Race summit. The music playing was God Bless the USA. The president's tone was, America must give a green light to innovators, not strangle them with red tape. He also mocked the term artificial intelligence, saying he preferred pure genius. On his first day in office, he repealed Biden's AI safety executive order. He then launched the American AI Action Plan, a deregulation blitzkrieg. Let's break down the three main pillars of this action plan. First is Pillar 1, infrastructure. The White House realized that the bottleneck in the AI race wasn't algorithms, it was electricity. AI is an energy-guzzling beast. So the first point of the plan was to rapidly approve data centers, semiconductor factories, and power grids at all costs, explicitly including relaxing environmental regulations. Next is Pillar 2, anti-woke AI, which means disarming ethical brakes. This was the most groundbreaking move. Trump signed the Preventing Woke AI in the Federal Government Executive Order. It prohibits federal agencies from procuring any AI infused with ideological agendas. It explicitly listed concepts like diversity, equity and inclusion, critical race theory, and unconscious bias as destructive ideological doctrines. Did you think this was just empty talk? You're completely wrong. This is fundamentally legal deconstruction. Let me translate its terrifying consequences for you. Previously, our most crucial legal tool against AI algorithmic discrimination, for example, an AI recruiting software that only hired white men, was called disparate impact liability. This tool stipulated that regardless of whether you had a subjective discriminatory intent, as long as your AI's objective outcome caused disproportionate harm to a certain group, such as women or people of color, you were in violation of the law. And the anti-woke AI executive order completely abolished this tool. The Associated Press reported that the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, has stopped investigating algorithmic discrimination based on this new order. The ethical brakes have been completely removed. Finally, pillar 3, the weaponization of open source. Remember how open source was considered a threat in 2023? Now, in 2025, the status of open source has undergone a 180-degree reversal. The AI Action Plan explicitly proposes to encourage open source AI. Why? Geostrategic value. The White House's logic is that open source is the perfect geostrategic weapon against China. We must promote US-led open source models to become the global standard, making the whole world rely on models based on American values. This major reversal made everyone reevaluate their positions. First, the big winner, large tech companies. Once again, OpenAI, which loudly called for regulation in 2023, turned around at the 2025 summit and showered Trump with praise, saying, "Thank you for being such a pro-business, pro-innovation president. None of this would have happened without your brilliant leadership." Why? Because the game has changed. In 2023, the bottleneck was technology, stemming from the threat of open source, so they wanted a regulatory moat. In 2025, the bottleneck is physical, meaning energy and infrastructure, so they want meeting energy and blitzkrieg. Their stance only serves market concentration. Next, the unfortunate one, Anthropic. The company that prioritized safety became a political outcast. White House AI czar David Sachs publicly criticized Anthropic on social media, accusing them of promoting fear-based regulation to harm competitors. Facing a political storm from its biggest customer, the US government, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodeo was forced to issue a statement. This statement is practically a textbook example of political survival. First, high-profile praise. Amodeo praised Trump's AI action plan in the statement. Second, proving alliance. He emphatically highlighted that his company and the US government are key allies, especially since they just signed a $200 million Department of War contract. Third, catering to anti-woke. He even cited research from conservative think tanks to prove that his company's AI models have less political bias and are less woke than competitors. A company that marketed itself on safety ultimately had to use military contracts and anti-woke language to prove its legitimacy. So, back to our original question. Was it historic regulation or just talk on paper? The 2023 Safety Summit was unequivocally talk on paper. It was a safety theater, essentially regulatory capture. The 2025 winning the AI Race Summit is absolutely a historic event, but it's not historic regulation. It's a historic deregulation blitzkrieg. This reminds me of a classic line from Dr. Ian Malcolm in the movie Jurassic Park. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should. The US policy in 2025 is a John Hammond-esque gamble, referring to the founder of Jurassic Park. The anti-woke AI executive order suppressed all ethical considerations of should we or shouldn't we. The EEOC stopping investigations removed legal accountability for businesses. The leash in 2023 was made of paper. In 2025, the White House not only tore up this paper leash, but also dismantled the entire park's fences and injected the T-Rex with stimulants. The White House is betting that in this race, a larger, faster, and more American T-Rex is the only way to ensure victory. As for whether it will eat the visitors, whether through algorithmic discrimination or mass unemployment, this seems to have been deemed an acceptable and necessary cost in the face of the national will to win the AI race.